You've probably heard the name King Herod. Maybe from history class, maybe from the Christmas story, but the thing is, the historical record has left us with a figure who is so full of contradictions it's like we're talking about two totally different people.
So let's just dive right in, because the whole puzzle of Herod's life really boils down to this one question: visionary king or paranoid tyrant? A builder or a butcher? Well, as we're about to see, the answer is this really complicated and kind of unsettling yes to both. He's hailed as one of the greatest builders in Jewish history, but he's also the monster who executed his own wife and sons.
So let's start with the Herod they actually called the Great. To really get a handle on his achievements, you gotta understand the tricky spot he was in and how he literally etched his vision for power right into the stone of the landscape. Okay, so here's the deal with Herod's political reality. He wasn't some all-powerful king, right? He was what they called a client king, basically appointed by Rome to rule Judea. His job? Pretty simple on paper: keep the peace, make sure the taxes get collected, and above all, stay loyal to the empire. It was this incredible tightrope walk, and Herod, man, he mastered it. Not through war, but through building.
And wow, could this guy build. I mean, just think about it. For 33 years, from 37 BC to 4 BC, Herod was the man in charge. And in that time, he didn't just rule, he completely remade the entire kingdom. We're not talking about just a reign. This was an era of construction like nothing anyone had ever seen before.
His projects were just colossal. He took the Second Temple in Jerusalem and expanded it into one of the wonders of the ancient world. Then, literally, out of nothing, he engineered this massive state-of-the-art port city, Caesarea Maritima. And for his own security, he built these insane, impregnable fortresses like Masada and the incredible palace tomb of Herodium. But here's the key thing to remember. These were all calculated political moves. The temple? That was to win over his Jewish subjects. Caesarea, which was filled with temples to Rome? Yeah, that was to flatter his Roman bosses.
But all that architectural genius, all that political savvy, it came at a horrifying price. Because for every incredible monument he built, there was this foundation of fear and blood. And that brings us to the other side of Herod's legacy, a kingdom built on pure terror.
Let's be clear, Herod's kingdom was basically a police state. He had secret police everywhere, spying on everyone, just listening for any hint of dissent. And to protect himself, he surrounded himself with a personal bodyguard of about 2,000 foreign mercenaries. Why? Simple. He didn't trust a single person from his own kingdom. And this paranoia, it was at its absolute worst inside his own home.
This timeline is just chilling. It really tracks his descent into madness. First, he has his own teenage brother-in-law drowned at a party. Why? Just because the kid was getting too popular. Then, he executes his wife Mariamne in a fit of jealous rage. After that, he turns on his own kids, executing 2 of his sons. And then, and this is just unbelievable, just 5 days before he himself died, he had his firstborn son, Antipater, killed.
His cruelty became legendary. I mean, so much so that it turned into a dark joke all the way back in Rome. The Emperor Augustus himself is said to have quipped, "It is better to be Herod's pig than his son." And that joke, as dark as it is, brilliantly illustrates the horror. See, as a Jew, Herod wouldn't eat pork, so his pigs were safe. His sons, not so much.
And it's this reputation for just unimaginable cruelty that really sets the stage for the most infamous story about Herod, the one that has defined his image for 2,000 years. And it begs the question, was the biblical massacre of the innocents a historical fact, or was it a myth built on his monstrous reputation?
You know the story. The Gospel of Matthew paints this absolutely chilling picture of wise men searching for a newborn king. And Herod, just terrified of any rival, orders his soldiers to kill every single baby boy in Bethlehem. Now, given everything we've just heard about him, it sounds completely plausible, doesn't it? I mean, it feels exactly like something he would do.
But when historians really dig into the evidence, a different picture starts to emerge. Check this out. The story only appears in one place, the Gospel of Matthew. It's not in Mark, it's not in Luke, it's not in John. But here's the real kicker. It is completely missing from the works of the historian Josephus. Now, this is a guy who loved to list all of Herod's terrible crimes in graphic detail. And on this, not a single word. Silence.
So, the general consensus among modern historians is that the massacre probably isn't a historical event. Instead, they see it as this powerful literary device.
Just look at the parallels to the story of Moses from the Old Testament, right? You've got a tyrant, Pharaoh, who orders the killing of baby boys, and the hero, Moses, escapes. Well, Matthew is doing the exact same thing here. He's casting Herod as a new tyrannical Pharaoh and Jesus as a new and even greater Moses.
So where does all this leave us? I mean, it feels like we have two completely different Herods, doesn't it? The master builder and the paranoid killer. The man who raised a temple that touched the sky, and the man who tore his own family apart.
This really sums up the whole contradiction. You just can't deny he was a political genius, a visionary who brought decades of stability and left behind a physical legacy that has lasted for 2 millennia. But at the exact same time, he was a paranoid monster, so terrified of losing power that he, in effect, devoured his own children. His entire reign was built on brilliance, yeah, but it was cemented with blood.
Which leaves us with one last, really unsettling question. Because Herod isn't just some dusty figure from the past, his story forces us to ask a question we are still wrestling with today. How do we remember leaders who build great things through absolutely brutal means? Can you separate the monument from the monster? That is the complicated and deeply human legacy of Herod the Great.